Hey everyone, welcome back to Brian's Mysteries and Adventures on Trail. And just for those that may have missed it in one of the other videos, I am supposed to be getting the calendars probably by tomorrow or Wednesday. So if you have already sent me money for one via PayPal or another method, once they come in, I will start shipping them, and I'll send you a confirmation. And I appreciate everyone who has offered to buy one, and hopefully you'll like them. And also, I will be looking into possibly making a blanket and a coffee mug. If that's something you're interested in as well, just let me know. Today's case takes us up to Idaho, more specifically the Sawtooth National Forest, and we are going to be discussing the disappearance of Fern Baird, who disappeared on October 19th of 2020, somewhere near the Prairie Creek Trailhead. Now, we know that she was on this trailhead because she signed the trail register at around 1 p.m. on October 19th. Now, this area where she was is just northwest of Ketchum, Idaho, so I'll have some maps throughout as always. But basically, she signed that trailhead at around 1 p.m. on October 19th of 2020 and vanished. No one's ever seen her since. Now, Fern was a successful woman. She was working for this company called Powder Beach Realty, and what she was doing was she was in both residential sales and vacation rentals for various things like Utah's mountain resorts and also some areas apparently in the Salt Lake Valley area. She was apparently very successful at this, and she was doing well. And she had also apparently founded this company called Yopa Bags, which is a design and manufacturer of these yoga crossover backpacks, which I thought was really cool. I've never seen these things, but they look pretty neat. Fern is a white female. She was 62 years old at the time, roughly 5'5", and she weighed about 115 pounds. She was last seen wearing a gray jacket, black pants, and carrying a black fanny pack. And we know this because the concierge at the hotel she was staying at actually had CCTV camera or footage. The front desk woman specifically remembered Fern because Fern had asked her about, hiking areas in the vicinity and what she might have recommended. And it was actually the front desk clerk who alerted the authorities because Fern never came back to her room. And actually, even though Fern was last seen on October 19th, she wasn't reported missing until October 22nd. So there were several days in between when she was last seen and when she was reported missing, unfortunately. According to her friends and family, they described her as an experienced hiker, but she wasn't experienced in things like technical hikes or mountaineering. And they said that she was more of a casual hiker, and she didn't like to do things like, bushwhacking or taking shortcuts or things like that. She would have liked to have stayed on the established marked trails. According to authorities, the route that she would have taken to get to the Prairie Creek Trailhead would be on Highway 75, and then there's a road called Baker Creek Road, and that is how she would have accessed the Prairie Creek Trailhead. And this is important because her vehicle was eventually found at the Prairie Creek Trail parking lot. The Prairie Creek Trail is in the boundaries of Sawtooth National Forest, and this national forest is huge. It's over 2 million acres, and it's mainly in the state of Idaho, but also partially in Utah. And unfortunately for search and rescuers, the Prairie Lakes, Minor Lakes, there's a bunch of different trails that are accessible from the Prairie Creek Trailhead. The Prairie Lakes is about 5 miles in one direction. The Prairie Creek trail itself is a loop trail, and it's fairly straightforward. So it's, kind of weird that she got lost or whatever happened to her. Now, there was a trail register that she did sign, and the authorities were able to look through that. And apparently there was another party of 5 and a couple. This is the picture of the trail register in the area. And there was another couple from Boise, Idaho, and a party of 5, which they really couldn't make out the handwriting, but they're still trying to track those people down, because not that they thought they were suspects, but they wanted to talk to them, thought that maybe they had seen Fern out on trail that day. But unfortunately, those efforts all were in vain. They weren't able to track down any of those people. which is a shame because the group of 5, who was apparently from Tulsa, they signed the trail log right around the same time as Fern, and it is believed that they hiked either the West Fork drainage of the Prairie Creek or to Prairie Lake on October 19th, the same day she did. So it's really too bad that they weren't able to find those people. That, who knows, they might not have even seen her, but definitely a good chance since they were there at the exact same time, basically. According to the weather data at the time during that area, or for that area, on October 19th, when she was there, it was around in the mid-60s, but unfortunately at night it got into the mid-30s, and then for the following several days, it was somewhat similar. It slowly got a little colder during the day, low 60s, and then 30s at night, and by the 23rd it was only a high of 46 during the day and low of 25 at night, which is obviously really bad. This is a picture of her car, like I said, that they found at the Prairie Creek Trailhead parking lot, and unfortunately this didn't really lead to any further leads either. Just the fact that it was there was double confirmation that she was actually there. Now, the Blaine County Search and Rescue and various other teams, they started their search Thursday afternoon of October 22nd, 2020, and they did a very incredible search. I mean, this search involved the National Guard. They brought in a National Guard helicopter. They had people on foot as well as horseback. They had people searching with, things like ATVs and all kinds of different ground searches. And if you ever have a moment, just look up Google Maps and go to some of these places and then do like a street view. It'll help bring in a lot of this into perspective, just to see what a daunting task these kind of searches are, especially, in a place like Idaho that's huge with, mountains and tons of vast prairies. And so, they're always up against really tough circumstances, but they did a overwhelming effort here. I mean, they searched all the different lakes in the areas, the Prairie Lakes, the Minor Lake, Norton Lakes. They brought in a special drone team, and these drones are incredible. I mean, this is a picture of one of the types of drones they use, and then it's linked to the ground with somebody that has a virtual reality set on their head where they can look in places that, underneath rocks and different cliffs and stuff. It's really impressive what they can do now. But unfortunately, through all those searches, after the first week, there was no sign of Fern. This is very challenging terrain too. Some of these areas are upwards of 9,200 feet in elevation, and unfortunately, apparently, like I was saying, early winter conditions came in, and the temperatures were freezing at night. There was fresh snow that covered the area in some places, so it just made it very difficult for search and rescue. By October 30th of that year, they had exhausted most of their efforts, but what they did was the Blaine County Search and Rescue and various other SAR teams that were involved, they airlifted several different canine teams into the area, and all up into the higher elevations too, and along with teams of ground searches, and they spent days looking during this massive search effort. And still, they found nothing. Not only did not find her, but they didn't find any clues either. They didn't find any, clothing, any pieces of gear, which is always very, upsetting. I don't think, some people don't realize how emotionally you get invested in these cases, and it's always really upsetting when they don't turn out the way you want. I mean, you always want to find the people, and it's just a very emotional experience. And unfortunately, according to the Blaine County Sheriff at the time, Steve Harkins, he said that obviously this is not the outcome that they were hoping for, but after several weeks of searching, they exhausted all their resources, but they will continue to investigate with any leads that they gather. But now it's been over a year and still nothing has come about. This is still an open, active investigation, so if anyone has any information on Fern's whereabouts, please contact Mike Abaid at 208-578-3371, or I'm going to leave a contact in the description with the sheriff's email address where you can leave any information that you may have. Again, Fern Baird is described as 5 foot 5 inches tall. She weighs 115 pounds. She was last seen wearing a gray jacket, black pants, and carrying a black fanny pack. I'd like to dedicate this video to Fern Lovett Baird and to her friends and family and everybody who searched so hard for her, and just wishing that she can be brought home one day soon, one way or another. I want to thank everybody for watching as always, and please be respectful in the comments. Just remember, this is someone's family member, somebody's mother, sister. Thank you so much to co.ag for providing the background music, and I will see everybody in the next one. Take care. Thank you as always for everyone sticking with me till the end, and for those of you that have sent me video requests or cases that you'd like me to cover, I just want to let you know that I am working on them. I'm just trying to do everything in order as I received it. And, obviously it takes time to research and get all the information together and everything, so just didn't want anybody to think I forgot about them or their case. And if anyone else has any suggestions for me, I'm all ears and I'm always willing to cover any case that I can. So please send me an email or leave me a comment. The best way is always to send me an email though, because sometimes comments get, just lost in the shuffle.